How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with yet another review. Yeah, proper t-shirt time in the form of Kane Brewing. It is their barn door. This is a barrel-aged, Pinot Noir barrel-aged, Saison condition on Hibiscus and Citrus Zest. It's 8.6% alcohol by volume, and that be that. It's been a while. Actually, scratch that. It's not been a while since I've done a Kane barrel-aged beer. I think I did a Nightingale and Aldons a couple months ago. But yeah, I haven't had a barrel-aged beer that wasn't a dark beer, whether it be a dark Belgian or a stout for a while from Kane. And my brother-in-law, Scott, was actually down at Kane. He's like, "Want me to pick you up anything while I'm down here?" And I saw this, and I'm like, you know what, get me one of those, because I'm kind of in the mood for barrel-aged Saison. It's been a bit. Let's dive into the sucker. Let's give it the old slice and dice. I think I read everything on there. There's really not much else. So, is this going to be corked? I don't think so. No. Still might be corked underneath this cap, but it definitely has that wax going on. Oh, really? Thought I'd be able to get underneath there. Where's my big-ass bad wax thing? This destroys wax to no end, so, yeah. Nope, definitely not corked. Okay, let's give this sucker a pour. Oh, okay. This has hibiscus in it. I'm going to let you know right now that it's coming through in the color. Yeah, citrus zest, that is still up for debate. But if you look at that, I mean, that has to be a boatload of hibiscus. Because to get that kind of color, a lot of people make hibiscus beers. You have Free Will makes one. Trogs, well, that's more of a Crimson Pistol. I believe that's hibiscus. I don't remember. But, I mean, that's purple. That's, like, rich, deep, dark purple. Like, Barney ain't got shit on that color. So you're definitely getting that kind of rich hibiscus color. And labeling-wise, this is probably one of the more favorite Kane labels I've had in quite some time. Look, bubble. Oh, pop for Bucker. It's a departure from what I typically get from Kane. They're usually very font-driven. They don't do a lot of imagery on there, so to see something like that kind of, dare I say, tickles me purple and slightly pink. But yeah, if you look at that, it just looks like it has to be a fruited beer or an adjuncted beer. You're not going to get that from base beer color. So, has fruited vibes. That's your hibiscus at work. Let's get a nose. Ooh, okay. You're getting this nice soft citrus acidity. It's like a tartness. And it's funky, erring on the side of sour, but it's not totally getting there. You definitely get a soft floral component, but I believe that's more hops than anything else. If anything, if the hibiscus is coming through, it's more of a sweetness. A sweetness added to that acidity outside of the malt. But yeah, there's a citric component to it. There's a sour component. There's a slightly funky component to it. All very discreet. Nothing gets too in your face. But you could tell there's going to be a little bit of a like heartburn, flirting on the edge of heartburn with this one. But she smells nice. She smells like a fruited Saison as opposed to a like a flower added Saison. But she looks pretty. She smells pretty. See if she tastes pretty. Cheers. That is interesting. I don't know what to think about this beer. Other than the fact that it's definitely going to give me heartburn. I know that for a fact. That's super cool. It's super expressive. It's super explosive. I'm going to say this. And it's going to come off as a negative, and I don't mean it that way. This tastes like a Dole fruit punch that you made with all the regular fruit punchiness that you see in your over-the-counter kind of fruit punch. But then you age that in wine barrels. That's kind of what I'm getting here. You're definitely getting that wine barrel. It doesn't come off... I want to say it's like a white wine. What kind of barrel do they say they put it in? Pinot Noir. Actually, don't know what color that is. I'm not a wine guy, but it has this kind of like it's not a light, it's not a rosé, it's not a dark beer, dark wine. It comes off more as not as light as like a Chardonnay, but something in that realm, a more kind of lighter grape as opposed to a darker grape. But then you get that kind of big hit of the hibiscus. It's gigantic. There's so much floral character in there that it adds this kind of richness, this darkness to the beer that kind of makes you think it was aged in something a bit more darker, beer-wise, or wine-wise. There's a spiciness to it. It's hard to believe that spicy component. Super peppery, super spicy. Hard to believe that came just from the wine barrel. I think it's a yeast thing, but I think there's a little bit too much of the spiciness just to be even yeast or some kind of wood component, a drying component that can be kind of spicy to me at sometimes. Or something else to it, like an addition of the spice. Now, you're talking about a citrus zest. I don't think it's that either. It tastes like there's something else going on in a very positive way. I'm not calling it a negative thing, but it's really it's one of those rare beers that's a combination of complex but a super aggressive. More times when a beer is super aggressive, there's a very heavy, at least mine, I don't want to say yours, but my palate tends to lean heavy towards those really expressive. I don't want to say my palate leans toward, I want to say those aggressive flavors come through and kind of overpower all the subtleties throughout the rest of the beer. It seems like there's not a ton of subtle in this beer for its style. I mean, it's 8.5, so it's not a small beer, but it just has this kind of aggressiveness, but everything across it is aggressive. The hibiscus is aggressive. That citrus zest adds a component to it. It's aggressive. That spiciness, I think, might come from like an old kind of aged kind of hop. That's aggressive. The wine barrel is aggressive. The beer itself is aggressive. Everything's aggressive to where it should be for its style of beer. So at 8.5%, it's a very aggressive saison. The wine barrel is aggressive. Everything's up there, but it all works because everything's an equal player in the beer. There's nothing overpowering each other. So that's why it's kind of taken me back, because it's amazing how vibrant all of it is while staying sensible and cohesive. It's very interesting, very fun. It's a fun beer, and it's tasty and it's delicious. And these are flavors you're typically kind of not hit in the face with a 2x4 with. It's more of a subtle flavors, but for some weird reason, Michael Kane did his Huju and made it come off as like hair on fire shit. Yeah, that's fun. I dig it. It's like literally like, let's take a fruited wine barrel age saison that we typically expect and take it from a dinner / semi-dessert beer and make it just opulent dessert beer. That's the way this comes off for me. It's almost desserty. Not in a sweet way, but in its richness. And that's not a bad thing. I like it. It's tasty. It's as acidic as I want it to be before it takes me over the edge. Makes me cry mama when it comes to heartburn. But at the same time, it has this beautifulness to it that's more of a kind of symphony as opposed to a metal show. So there's this juxtaposition, I guess you would say, that kind of really turns me on. I'm just going on way too long. Let's wrap it up. It's tasty. It's vibrant. The hibiscus shows. The citrus adds a nice component, I think, of acidity along with the actual like sour portion of the beer. The wine barrel is aggressive but not overpowering, and the beer itself is still there, especially from the yeast portion of the show. The way you're getting a spiciness from it, which I think is a combination of old hops and the yeast itself. It's tasty. It's spicy. There's pepper. There's wine. There's all bits and pieces that make for a beautifully complex and impactful beer. Is it one of the better barrel-aged saisons I've had as of late? I should say, excuse me. Absolutely, without a doubt. It's one of those beers where I think when I keep drinking this throughout the night, it's going to keep kind of churning in my brain what's going on. And that in of itself turns me on. And, oh, it's super tasty to boot. Value and availability, $18 for a barrel-aged saison like this. I think that's okay. I mean, it's right about where... that is where the bottles start to get to where they don't offend me, but I wish it was a little bit cheaper. That's just me. And leave you with, if you like what, brewery only, sorry. And if you like what we like this beer. If you like Saison, if you like barrel-aged Saison, you like wine barrel-aged beers, but a lot of them tend to be either imbalanced. They tend to come off either spicy or wine barrel or whatever, and you want equal impact, but you want equal impact with volume. You don't want it to be a quiet beer or more subtle or more of a sipper and where you're contemplating life as opposed to the beer. You want to drink this while thinking about this beer, and it accomplishes it pretty damn well. At least if you think about it. I don't know if that made sense. There you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice, beautiful barrel-aged Saison right now. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.